Peace Familia, with voting out Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, Tom Watts, and everyone who signed the position paper by the NABPP, the New African Black Panther Party, we are in practice terminating our relationship with the New African Black Panther Party, the White Panther Party, and the United Panther Movement. As far as Africa and patients, we are only supporting them in their individual capacity as they fight their legal battle against the state of New Jersey. But organizationally, we have terminated our relationship with NABPP, no matter if the leadership is under Shaka or Africa. The Second Rainbow Coalition, or 2RC as we like to call ourselves, can't validate any chairman of any organization. We may review our relationship if objective conditions warrant it, but it should be clear that our relationship is terminated with the New African Black Panther Party, White Panther Party, the United Panther Movement, and with this vote, no matter who the chairman is of that organization. All power, and I'll hand it off to co-chairwoman Alyssa.
Okay. Second Rainbow Coalition's position paper on Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts, 2023. Quote, unless you have investigated a problem, you will be deprived of the right to speak on it. Isn't that too harsh? Not in the least. When you have not probed into a problem, into the present facts and its past history, and know nothing of its essentials, whatever you say about it will undoubtedly be nonsense. Talking nonsense solves no problems, as everyone knows why it is unjust to deprive you of the right to speak. Quite a few comrades always keep their eyes shut and talk nonsense, and for a communist, that is disgraceful. How can a communist keep his eyes shut and talk nonsense? It won't do, it won't do. You must investigate, you must not talk nonsense. Mao Zedong, May 1930. Synopsis. On August 15th, 2023, while serving as captain of the New African Black Panther Party, Africa confronted Mayor Ras Baraka at a playground basketball event where he inquired about his culpability in the housing crisis in Newark, New Jersey. Words were exchanged between Mayor Ras Baraka and Africa, where Ras even called Africa a rapist. Africa started videotaping their exchange, which spanned several hours. This whole incident kept coming back to the principal contradiction that Africa was trying to address with Ras Baraka, the fact that he was behind the housing evictions in Newark, New Jersey. After being embarrassed in front of the whole community in Newark and Africa refusing to find a compromise in the allegations that he was asserting, Mayor Ras Baraka used the repressive arm of the state, Newark Police Department, to lock up Africa on domestic terrorist charges. This whole exchange and Africa's arrest was uploaded to the New African Black Panthers Party's YouTube channel. Following Africa's arrest for domestic terrorist charges, the New African Black Panther Party reached out to the Second Rainbow Coalition's Trifecta leadership and asked 2RC to help them fight against the repression that Mayor Ras Baraka was waging against the New African Black Panther Party. At the time, the city was even talking about the Hassan Shakur Community Center, about taking the Hassan Shakur Community Center away from the NABPP. After the Trifecta leadership, along with several elders, met with Shaka Zulu, Africa, and General Secretary Patience, we decided that 2RC would provide all necessary support for these comrades. Some of the demands that we agreed to uphold between the NABPP and the 2RC was to prevent the community center from being taken by the city, demanding all charges being dropped against Africa, and waging this class struggle against Mayor Ras Baraka since he was behind the gentrification going on in New York, New Jersey. The NABPP and 2RC's Trifecta leadership did an interview together at the end of August 2023, stating our position and that the Second Rainbow Coalition would do everything in its power to uphold these demands. 2 weeks later, September 15th, 2023, Mayor Ras Baraka was on a Zoom with Edward Riley and Zaid Mohammed. On this Zoom, Mayor Ras Baraka turns revolutionary history upside down on its head and casts himself as a beacon of revolution in Newark, New Jersey, and the New African Black Panther Party and Africa as the COINTELPRO agents, trying to undermine the Black liberation in Newark, New Jersey. It is in the same Zoom that Mayor Ras Baraka makes a threat against Africa's life. On September 30th, 2023, the New African Black Panther Party attended the men's meeting in which Ras Baraka hosts every year to maintain his neo-colonialist base of support throughout Newark, New Jersey. All those who attend this are individuals and organizations that are on the payroll of Mayor Ras Baraka, sits on one of the committees that he's established, or is soliciting to be part of his neo-colonialist plan for New York, New Jersey. Several organizations in the Second Rainbow Coalition were supposed to have been a part of this planned action at Mayor Ras Baraka's men's meeting along the NABPP, but for a number of reasons, only one person was in attendance, Renee Johnson. Chairman Alyssa Ray was on the way there when Shaka Zulu told her that she could turn around and go home. There was significant miscommunication and lack of coordination problems between the NABPP and the Second Rainbow Coalition organizations that were willing to send people to attend. Nevertheless, this action ended with the NABPP being escorted out of the building by Mayor Ras Baraka's goons. Ras later told all the attendees that the NABPP came to disrupt their event. A day or so later, Mayor Ras Baraka put out a statement against the New African Black Panther Party and their quote-unquote alleged attempt to disrupt their event, categorizing them as enemies of quote-unquote Black liberation. Africa and the 2RC advisor Kwame Shea Shakur did a podcast making a rebuttal to Mayor Ras Baraka's counter-revolutionary statement and highlighted his neo-colonialist agenda that he was really behind in New York, New Jersey. The next 4 weeks that followed these events up until November 3rd, 2023, a class struggle emerged within the New African Black Panther Party that became apparent to the Trifecta leadership and a number of elders that were following the developments in Newark closely. The Trifecta started to notice that Africa wasn't being supported materially, legally, or anything, as we had agreed upon with the New African Black Panther Party upon getting involved into this situation in Newark. This became a principal contradiction between the Trifecta leadership and the special body committee that was composed by the Trifecta leadership at the November 3rd, 2023 meeting. The main thing that the special body committee was trying to uncover is if the New African Black Panther Party was still maintaining our agreement to fight to drop the charges against Africa and to continue to wage the class struggle against Mayor Ras Baraka over the housing crisis in New York, New Jersey. We uncovered that Africa was not being supported in any substantial sense by the New African Black Panther Party or White Panther Party. In fact, the special body committee learned that General Secretary Patience was being charged with cyber terrorism charges herself. Neither the NABPP or WPP was providing any of these comrades material or legal support. In fact, the $350 raised for Africa's legal defense funds came from members in the Second Rainbow Coalition and revolutionaries on Facebook who support us. The only claim of quote-unquote material support came from the chairman of the White Panther Party, Jake Hansbury, saying that he shared Africa's post that showed the initial incident between him and Mayor Ras Baraka. Not one member of the New African Black Panther Party or White Panther Party claims to have given Africa 1 cent to his defense or to have been to any of his court hearings. One of the things that Africa kept saying over and over again throughout the November 3rd, 2023 meeting is that the NABPP was not supporting him, and he was even being attacked by his own party members. Tom Watts, an elder advisor for the NABPP, goes so far as to belittle Africa's situation by linking him to being an apprentice for Mayor Ras Baraka at one point in his past and just out for revenge. Tom further dismisses Africa's predicament, stating that he's being paranoid, even though it's Africa who is the one facing domestic terrorist charges. Shaka Zulu even mocks Chairman Lobo for even showing sympathy for Africa, although again, it's Africa and General Secretary Patience who are facing terrorism charges by the state. It's clear from the November 3rd, 2023 meeting that the special body committee had with Shaka, Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts, all members who sit on the Central Committee of the New African Black Panther Party under Shaka Zulu's leadership, were all responsible chiefly for the lack of material and legal support for Africa. On November 25th, 2023, the Poor People's Army held a Zoom conference where a number of people in the 2RC were invited to speak. A number of us who had attended this press conference from the 2RC wasn't entirely sure what we were being asked to speak about until it started. We just knew it had to do with supporting the march against the RNC and DNC in July and August of 2024. During the press conference, Jake Hansbury didn't get an opportunity to speak due to an oversight, nothing deliberate on the part of a PPA comrade who was hosting it. At any time, if Jake would have spoken up and notified our PPA comrades of this oversight, no one doubts that he would have been given an opportunity to still speak before it ended. However, on October 26th at 6:08 a.m., Shaka Zulu sends a text to a group chat of 19 individuals who all sit on the 2RC Representative Council stating, quote, "As the chairman of NABPP, it is my job to make sure our org is treated with respect and dignity. As of now, much disrespect have been shown to NABPP. This last press conference was an intentional exclusion of the NABPP. Don't know who are making the decisions, but until further clarification is given to the NABPP, I am withdrawing our membership in the Rainbow Coalition until an explanation or apology is given to our comrades. What is so disgusting and disgraceful and disappointing is that Chairman Jake was in the call and no one called upon him, but everyone else got a chance to speak. We out. End quote. Mao Zedong says, quote, you can't solve a problem? Well, get down and investigate the present facts and its history. When you have investigated the problem thoroughly, you will know how to solve it. Conclusions invariably come after investigation and not before. Only a blockhead coggles his brain on his own or together with a group to find a solution or evolve an idea without making any investigation. It must be stressed that this cannot possibly lead to any effective solution or any good idea. In other words, he is bound to arrive at a wrong solution and a wrong idea, end quote. Not only does Shaka Zulu not investigate this matter, he neither consults anyone before sending out this rash group text, not knowing if the NABPP had withdrawn their membership from 2RC and needing to be updated on the situation in Newark. The Trifecta composed a special body to investigate this matter, and which included a number of comrades from various organizations in the 2RC, along with 3 elders. We set the date for this meeting, November 3rd, 2023. Following the November 3rd, 2023 4-hour meeting, several developments occurred. 1. The Central Committee for the NABPP calls for the Second Rainbow Coalition to recall Chairman Juan Lobo and replace him with a new pick from La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets and place a co-chair from the new African Black Panther Party to take over 2RC. 2. Africa claims on November 11th that Shaka Zulu has been voted out of the NABPP and that the Central Committee has been disbanded and that Africa is the interim chairman of the new African Black Panther Party. 3. The NABPP, under Shaka Zulu's leadership on November 12th, claims to have expelled Africa and his family from the NABPP. 4. Throughout this whole ordeal surrounding the support or lack thereof of Africa, the Special Body Committee learned that the White Panther Party is a subordinate to the new African Black Panther Party and that Jake Hansbury and Tom Watts sits on the Central Committee for the new African Black Panther Party. Following these recent developments, the Trifecta leadership suspended all New African Black Panther Party, White Panther Party, United Panther Movement members from all Second Rainbow Coalition group chats and activities until we decide upon a collective resolution in this matter at the December 7th, 2023 meeting. After conducting our own investigation into the facts on the ground in Newark, New Jersey, and after several disturbing allegations were made by Africa and Shaka, we now take this matter with all the more seriousness. The following position paper is a result of our own investigation, interviewing former members of the NABPP and United Panther Movement, observing the developments on the ground in Newark, and observing all parties involved since suspending all NABPP, WPP, and UPN members from the Second Rainbow Coalition until our resolution is passed and voted on. Field report. The Second Rainbow Coalition has come together around a statement of unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition and standing on the 6 disciplinary rules that binds us together as we act with professional discipline. We maintain that each organization has its own autonomy. As a coalition, we cannot let a member organization ways and actions that are not becoming of the standards of the Second Rainbow Coalition to go without the organization being examined. These standards are not only held to recruit member orgs, but also to continue vetting to maintain relationships. NABPP, in a chain of events, started from some miscommunication on speakers at an online press conference of the Poor People's Army to NABPP leaving the coalition and coming back to a major split among the NABPP. The Second Rainbow Coalition reached out to former NABPP and UPN members in Newark, New Jersey, and Chairman Shaka. As a collective with well over a century of combined organizing and revolutionary experience and multiple fronts of struggle, it is good practice to not think people are lying to you and don't think people are telling you the truth either. These are the basics of revolutionary discipline and unity. It is equally important to be open-minded until you receive more evidence to prove one way or the other. In that spirit, 2RC findings will be laid out brief and to the point. The Second Rainbow Coalition spoke with past members of the NABPP, UPM, and members of the community. We, the 2RC, are reporting back on the information given to the coalition without names and specific times and dates. There have been accusations of the misrepresentation of NABPP, sexual abuse, misappropriation of funds, criminal drug activity, and behavior that was not comradely. Former members of the NABPP, UPM, and community spoke to 2RC on their own free will without any promises or favors. A quote from a community member, "I'm just mad because they wasn't on what a Panther should be, and somebody should check them." From the very beginning, the former NABPP stated the Hassan Shakur Community Center was set up on a false foundation. 1. Gang members trying to work with the Panthers made a deal before taking the building. One side was the ex-gang members and the other side was the NABPP food giveaway program. 2. Drugs were being sold out of and in front of the center. 3. Dogs and weapons were constantly on the property. 4. Buying and using of hard narcotics. 5. A place to hang out and play games and entertain women. Inside the NABPP and inside the community center, the environment was a toxic atmosphere, in particular for the women of the party. 1. Female comrades talk about trying to get involved with the NABPP, but could not take the constant harassment by text, calls, and in person. 2. Another female comrade states that she was manipulated by one of the leaders in the party, went to his house, but got in her car thinking that they were going to a meeting downtown to meet someone that could help her nephew. The same comrade was touched and told that she was a good woman, so relaxed while continuing to keep rubbing her shoulders. 3. One of the comrades talks about the open disrespect for other comrades, even to the point where comrades would make advances to other comrades' partners. The Hassan Shakur Community Center leadership was ex-gang members on one side and NABPP working around them. The repairs and cleaning to the center was through an ex-gang relationship and their own money. Money was raised and spent through GoFundMe and grants. The financial records was only known to one person. Even the NABPP treasury did not touch or ever see $1. 1. Ex-gang members wanting to be Panthers brought all the supplies, materials to fix up the place, brought a generator, and kept gas in it to keep the lights on in the center. 2. NABPP received a grant of $12,000, and no member could tell you where the money was spent. 3. Ex-gang members were still selling drugs and some weed to a comrade using the NABPP money for NABPP account for the money. People actively in their addiction brought and used hard narcotics in the center until new members came around to clean up the mess inside the party. 4. No leadership development or political education was happening in the center until new comrades came around. There were some negative things said about the chairman and the captain. Female comrades found it hard to deal with the chairman and the captain. The issues they had with the chairman was criminal activities linked to his behavior, while the negative stuff linked to the captain was very different. The negative things that were said about the captain were linked to his poor communication skills and his passion that scared people. The community was very disappointed in the lack of improvements that had been done to the center. The roof repairs were the only thing that were worked on. The little work on the inside and supplies were brought and cleaned by ex-gang members who wanted to be Panthers. From 2RC. Objective analysis. 1. Whether the White Panther Party should have been given an independent seat on the Second Rainbow Coalition's Representative Council when they admit themselves they are subordinate to the new African Black Panther Party. 2. Whether Chairman Lobo committed any violations of the Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition and should be removed and replaced as one of the co-chairs of the 2RC. 3. Whether the new African Black Panther Party under Shaka Zulu's leadership violated the Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition in such a manner that we must terminate our relationship with this organization out of principle. Discussion and decision. 1. White Panther Party's 2 seats on the 2RC. When the Second Rainbow Coalition was initially founded in Newark, New Jersey, May 14th, 2021, it was our intention to uphold the legacy of the First Rainbow Coalition, which was about respecting the self-determination of various oppressed ethnic communities, including the oppressed white community. Historically, the Young Patriots organization was the first oppressed white community to become part of the First Rainbow Coalition. They had their own independent organizations with their own leadership. They were not subordinate to the original Black Panther Party or the Young Lords organization. Therefore, they were viewed as equal partners at the table with all the organizations that came to make up the First Rainbow Coalition. This is the starting point of our analysis. Although at the founding of the Second Rainbow Coalition, the White Panther Party was at the table along with the new African Black Panther Party and the New Era Young Lords, they were subordinate to the new African Black Panther Party even at the founding of the Second Rainbow Coalition. The question to be considered was whether it was fair and correct to give the White Panther Party 2 seats on the Representative Council of the Second Rainbow Coalition when they are are a subordinate organization to one of the other member organizations on the representative council. To put it another way, Los Brown Berets is a large organization that is one of many Brown Beret formations that make up La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets. Although Los Brown Berets is a big subordinate organization of La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets, should they be given a seat on the representative council for the Second Rainbow Coalition as a quote unquote special member organization and as an equal, not only in relation to being given just as much of a voice as La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets, who they are supposed to be subordinate to, but also in relation to all 2RC member organizations? Or why not give the New African Black Panther Party's other subordinate organization, the United Panther Movement, an equal seat at the table of the Representative Council with the Poor People's Army, New Era Young Lords, American Indian Movement, New England Woodland Chapter, or Northeast Woodland Chapter, Green Party of New Jersey, North Alabama School for Organizers, etc. as well. This would give a small organization as the New African Black Panther Party 4 or 6 votes on the Representative Council, while a very large coalition of Brown Berets, such as La Mesa Nacional de Brown Berets, only receives 2. This does not take a lot of investigation to recognize how unfair this would be to all member organizations, current or in the future. For this reason, the White Panther Party. I just went too far. Ah, crap. Hold on one second. For this reason, the White Panther Party should be removed as an independent organization and fall under the New African Black Panther Party. Thus, this will remove 2 additional votes that would really be extra votes by the New African Black Panther Party. This point may now be moot because of other recent developments, such as Africa allegedly replacing Shaka as chairman of the New African Black Panther Party and taking control over the Hassan Shakur Community Center in Newark, New Jersey. This latter point we can only say at a distance as we continue to observe these developments that's going on in Newark. Although this point is moot, it is recommended that the steering committee set forth policies and procedures in the 2RC's upcoming manual to prevent subordinate organizations and primary organizations from being placed on the representative council together. Only the primary organization shall be given a seat on the representative council for 2RC going forward, not also any subordinate organization it may oversee. 2. Chairman Juan Lobo's seat as chairman for the Second Rainbow Coalition. Having considered the points raised in the criticism regarding interfering with internal affairs of the NABPP and the demand that we recall Captain Lobo as co-chair of the 2RC, we do not agree with the assessment that the autonomy of the NABPP or UPM was interfered with, nor will we meet the demand to recall our co-chair. As a coalition of many groups, we have stated our intent to unite the oppressed peoples across ethnic and national lines for the purpose of liberating ourselves. A full statement of unity is part of our regular orientation. So our political clarity is centered around unifying our revolutionary class. Recently, the 2RC as an organization and at the invitation of the NABPP entered into a campaign to defend Captain Africa, a respected community leader in Newark who, with his wife Patience, was under attack for fighting for the community members, many poor and elderly, who were being evicted and or forced to live in infested, deteriorating, and substandard housing. Our position was to support the community and Africa against the corrupt mayor who threatened them all. The 2RC made the commitment to do this in line with our goals of unifying our class. We as a coalition have the right and duty to join in solidarity with any struggling community or individual who we choose to support. We have no intention of replacing or interfering with the efforts of a vital local leadership, including certainly the NABPP. There should be no confusion on this because it is not a violation of our statement of unity, nor our disciplinary guidelines. We cannot accept the criticism because we did nothing wrong. Captain Lobo was making an inquiry for the 2RC to understand some important questions that had to do with our coalition's interest. Some of these matters included, was the NABPP and UPM withdrawing from the coalition? Do we discuss the confusion that resulted? Do organizations announce publicly that they quit and then announce that they are back in? Do we have our own organizational integrity? Are our 2RC commitments subject to change on anyone's say-so? Why is a campaign we want to support so confused that its main public figure feels openly unsupported? These are all legitimate questions, and we have the right and duty to ask if our 2RC is involved. We are not a trifling coalition, and we do not take commitments lightly. We reject the notion that in making inquiries, we are trespassing in the business of the NABPP and UPM. They and any other organization or individual can do what they want in regard to the political attacks on the community in Africa. We will make our political choices as we choose and have no interest in running other groups inside or outside the 2RC. Captain Lobo was acting in accordance with his duty as co-chair. He violated no rules and will not be removed. This analysis may be moot as well, since the developments on the ground in Newark, New Jersey appears that Shaka Zulu is no longer chairman in Newark, New Jersey, the place where the new African Black Panther Party social base resides. Nevertheless, this is an ongoing situation, and we are still observing these developments at a distance and objectively as they will continue to inform us. However, again, we recommend that the steering committee take this incident into consideration when developing the 2RC's upcoming manual. Previously, we had a hardcore demarcation between the 2RC and getting involved into any internal politics of a member organization. This case highlights that there is no absolute demarcation, and when allegations surface, we should impress on that member organization to address things that may bring discredit to the Second Rainbow Coalition as a whole. It should be the last case scenario that the 2RC should have to address serious violations against our statement of unity, but it would seem foolish for us to take such a dogmatic approach to this sensitive issue again. We should develop policies and procedures that help guide us if a situation like this ever arises again. 3. Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts' accountability in violating 2RC's statement of unity. A. Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts' abandonment of Comrade Africa as he faces domestic terrorism charges. Quote, to criticize the people's shortcomings is necessary, but in doing so, we must truly take the stand of the people and speak out of the wholehearted eagerness to protect them and educate them. To treat comrades like enemies is to go over to the stand of the enemy, end quote. Mao Zedong, the correct handling of contradictions among the people. To protect our comrades in the 2RC is of utmost importance. Not to protect them from the repression of the state when they are being directly targeted by the state is to go over to the stand of the enemy, Mao says. In the present matter, Africa has been fighting domestic terrorism charges that resulted from the incident that occurred in mid-August 2023 when he confronted Mayor Ras Baraka over the housing crisis. His wife, Patience, is also facing cyber terrorism charges herself. Numerous times, Chairman Lobo asked Shaka, Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts during the November 3rd, 2023 meeting, hearing what they were doing to support Africa and his family materially.
Various times throughout the November 3rd, 2023 meeting, Hearing Africa mentioned that the NABPP and WPP were not supporting them at all. Several times he and his family met with the NABPP Central Committee, but none of their concerns were ever addressed or adequately looked into. The most disturbing allegations that Africa made during the hearing is that his own chairman, Shaka Zulu, had called him an agent and used some slanders against Comrade Africa that Mayor Ras Baraka has used against him, which Shaka never refused, but simply defects upon Shaka's alleged quote-unquote security guy, Tafawa. On November 19th, 2023, UPM as well as Shaka posted a alleged statement put out by Elder Dhoruba bin Wahad, a member of the original Black Panther Party and Black Liberation Army. Shaka Zulu later deleted this post from his page, but it can still be found on the United Panther Movement's Facebook page. We highly doubt that this alleged letter from Dhoruba bin Wahad was actually written by that elder. It wasn't. It was written in the first person and cannot be found on Dhoruba bin Wahad's Facebook page or anywhere else. So where did this alleged letter come from? If it wasn't written by Elder Dhoruba bin Wahad, then what does this say about NABP, WPP, and UPM? This can be denounced as agent provocateur stuff at worst and counter-revolutionary at the very best, at the very least. We have chosen to use the latter language since we don't have further proof to say that this is clearly a brown male sort of tactic that COINTELPRO used against the original Black Panther Party members in the 60s to divide comrades. In the near future, we discovered that Elder Dhoruba bin Wahad never wrote or said any of that stuff alleged in the statement put out by NABPP. We can clearly denounce this as agent provocateur bullshit and should be very troubling to not only elders of the original Black Panther Party, but also all revolutionaries of this generation. We can definitely say in regards to this matter that neither Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, Tom Watts, or anyone on the Central Committee of the NABPP mentioned Dhoruba bin Wahad once in the November 3rd, 2023 meeting. It's very odd that this alleged letter is never mentioned, where part of the focus of the meeting revolved around why Shaka continued to say that Mayor Ras Baraka, wasn't a permanent enemy, quote unquote, and suggested that we could work with him, possibly. This is so obvious to Elder Andy at the meeting that Elder Andy outright denounces Shaka's attempt to put 2RC in bed, quote unquote, with this neo-colonialist Mayor Ras Baraka. Mao Zedong said, since they are different in nature and contradictions between us and the enemy and contradictions among the people must be resolved by different methods. To put it briefly, the former is a matter of drawing a clear distinction between us and the enemy, and the latter a matter of drawing a clear distinction between right and wrong. It is, of course, true that the distinction between the enemy and us is also a matter of right and wrong. For example, the question of who is in the right, we or the domestic and foreign reactionaries, the imperialists, the feudalists, and the bureaucrat capitalists, it is also a matter of right and wrong. But it is in a different category from question of right and wrong among the people. End quote. In our statement of unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition, we stated that the representatives of the capitalist imperialist ruling class represented by the Democratic Party and Republican Party cannot liberate us. It is their class intention and interest to uphold our common class oppression. Therefore, it is only we, the oppressed masses of all ethnicities and nationalities, who must build the necessary class solidarity, class consciousness, organizational structures, and a united front that will ultimately liberate ourselves. This is what the Second Rainbow Coalition is committed to. This is the historic mission we intended to fulfill, end quote. Mayor Ras Baraka is a Democrat. On a number of occasions, Shaka Zulu covers over the class struggle and contradiction between us and the enemy in the person of Mayor Ras Baraka, who plays a neo-colonialist role in Newark, New Jersey, meaning he's black faces that actually serves the capitalist imperialist class via the landlords, financial institutions, and the white supremacist power structure there. And Shaka even goes so far to meet with a social media influencer and welcomes a sit down with Mayor Ras Baraka and his cronies to resolve a problem in the interests of Newark, New Jersey, as if no class distinction exists between the people and the state. Although we mentioned Shaka Zulu's involvement, Jake Hansbury and Tom Watts fully endorsed Shaka's position. The fact that these individuals find more in common with a neo-colonialist like Mayor Ras Baraka and views Africa more as an enemy is counter-revolutionary. Mao Zedong once said, in the correct handlings of contradictions among the people, the question of suppressing counter-revolutionaries is one of a struggle between us and the enemy, a contradiction between us and the enemy. Among the people, some see this as a question in somewhat different light. Two kinds of persons hold views different from ours. Those with a rightist way of thinking make one distinction between the enemy and us and take the enemy for our own people. They regard as friends the very persons whom the broad masses regard as enemies. Those with a quote unquote left way of thinking magnify contradictions between ourselves and the enemy to such an extent that they take certain contradictions among the people for contradiction with the enemy and regard as counter-revolutionary persons who are actually not counter-revolutionaries. Both these views are wrong. Neither can lead to the correct handling of the question of suppressing counter-revolutionaries or to a correct assessment of this work. So from a Marxist, Leninist, Maoist analysis, we must denounce Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts as counter-revolutionaries. They betrayed both comrades, Africa and patience, by leaving them out to dry. and when they are facing domestic terrorist charges by the state. However, because the 2RC isn't a Marxist-Leninist Maoist coalition per se, this isn't a criteria alone to denounce these individuals and terminate our relationship with them. They must violate one of our 6 disciplinary rules found in our Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition, which states, number 1, members will conduct themselves in a manner to bring credit to the coalition and will treat others with respect and politeness. Number 2, members will be sober when on Rainbow Coalition business and will not engage in any criminal activity while a member. Number 3, no member will engage in violence except in the extremity of self-defense. Number 4, members will not gossip nor be divisive to the unity of the Second Rainbow Coalition. Number 5, members will not act as informers nor work against the purpose of the Second Rainbow Coalition. Number 6, nobody is authorized to speak for the Rainbow Coalition unless authorized to do so. For this reason, we denounce Shaka Zulu, Jake Hansbury, and Tom Watts as counter-revolutionaries for violating rules 1 and 4 of our 6 disciplinary rules. No revolutionary organization, coalition, or party could ever respect the 2RC if we allowed organizations to continue to throw comrades under the bus and allow the state to prosecute them without any protection from their organization. Furthermore, to spread false propaganda against our comrade Africa and his familia is further evidence that this group of individuals is doing the work of the state, consciously or unconsciously. In practice, they would rather allow Africa and his white patients to be sent to prison for trumped-up charges than support them. This was the case before class struggle that emerged in the NABPP to unseat Shaka Zulu as chairman, so we can't excuse such counter-revolutionary conduct to be part of our coalition. B, Shaka's conduct in our field report. There's a number of serious violations to our Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition that we've uncovered in our investigation as it relates to Shaka Zulu. Instead of making this an exhaustive analysis of everything, we will highlight the most serious violations of our 6 disciplinary rules that every member organization signed on to when they attached their name to our Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition. Although our unity is based on a programmatic unity by simply upholding our Statement of Unity for the Second Rainbow Coalition and not a political or ideological unity, at times we will refer to Marxist, Leninist, Maoist language in our analysis because the NABPP calls itself a Marxist, Leninist, Maoist party and uses such language in its own position papers. We feel that we must give a political and ideological response to their assertions, although those rebuttals aren't in violation in themselves, since our coalition isn't a Marxist, Leninist, Maoist coalition per se. However, how these violations are related to our 6 disciplinary rules are the basis of our analysis. Our 6 disciplinary rules states, number 1, members will conduct themselves in a manner to bring credit to the coalition and will treat others with respect and politeness. Number 2, members will be sober when on Rainbow Coalition business and will not engage in any criminal activity while a member. Number 3, no member will engage in violence except in the extremity of self-defense. 4 is members will not gossip nor be divisive to the unity of the Second Rainbow Coalition. 5 is members will not act as informers or work against the purpose of the Second Rainbow Coalition. Number 6, nobody is authorized to speak for the Second Rainbow Coalition unless authorized to do so. We will begin with the field report that was conducted by one of the members of the 2RC Special Body Committee that was comprised by the Trifecta leadership along with several elders. This Special Body Committee has been informed along the way from the beginning, before, during, and after the November 3rd, 2023 meeting. Both Africa and Shaka were reached out to and asked to hand over all material, hand witnesses, and evidence to corroborate the serious allegations that they were both making publicly. Africa handed over several material witnesses that were interviewed and recorded willingly. Shaka never handed over any material witness or evidence to corroborate his allegations that he was making publicly against Africa. Instead, he became belligerent and at times verbally attacked the comrade who was investigating these matters for the Special Body Committee. He claimed that we were interfering with the internal politics of the NABPP, although he was making all these allegations publicly against Africa. Mao Zedong wrote Combat Liberalism and says it is very informative in the present matter. Mao listed several manifestations of liberalism that we could find in Shaka Zulu. Mao said, quote, to let things drift if they do not affect one personally, to say as little as possible while knowing perfectly well what is wrong, to be worldly, wise, and play safe and seek only to avoid blame. This is a third type. Not to obey orders, but to give pride of place to one's own opinions, to demand special consideration from the organization, but to reject its discipline. This is a fourth type. To indulge in personal attacks, pick quarrels, vent personal spite, or seek revenge instead of entering into an agreement and struggling against incorrect views for the sake of unity or progress or getting the work done properly. This is the fifth type. To hear incorrect views without rebutting them and even to hear counter-revolutionary remarks without reporting them, but instead to take them calling as if nothing happened. This is a sixth type. To be among the masses and fail to conduct propaganda and agitation or speak at meetings or conduct investigations and inquiries among them, and instead to be indifferent to them and show no concern for their well-being, forgetting that one is a communist and behaving as if one were an ordinary non-communist. This is a seventh type. To see someone harming the interests of the masses and yet not feel indignant or dissuade or stop him or reason with him, but to allow him to continue, that's an eighth type. To work half-heartedly without a definite plan and direction, to work perfunctorily and muddle along so long as one remains a monk, one goes on twirling the bell, that's a ninth type. To regard oneself as having rendered great voice to the revolution, to pride himself on being a veteran, to disdain minor assignments while being quite unequal in major tasks, to be slipshod in work and slack in study, this is a 10th type. To be aware of one's own mistakes and yet make no attempt to correct them, taking a liberal attitude towards oneself, this is an 11th type. We could name more, end quote. We can name more, but these 11 are the principal types. They are all manifestations of liberalism. In our field report, where several members spoke to us about their time in the NABPP or UPM in Newark, mentioned a culture of criminal activity inside the Shaka Community Center. These weren't mentioned as isolated incidents, but as an acceptable culture that Shaka Zulu was well aware of and complicit in himself. These former members mentioned that Kwame Shakur, the former Minister of Culture for the NABPP, tried to clean up this culture in the NABPP when he temporarily moved to Newark in December of 2021, and even suspended Shaka Zulu, which Shaka accepted. However, after Kwame went back to Indianapolis and resigned from NABPP, many of these things still persisted. This is a clear violation of point 1 and 2 of the 6 disciplinary rules. Remember, number 1 is members will conduct themselves in a manner to bring credit to the coalition and will treat others with respect and politeness. Number 2, members will be sober when on Rainbow Coalition business and will not engage in any criminal activity while a member. Moreover, we found the sexual predatory behavior by Shaka as troubling. Several women comrades disclosed a number of instances where Shaka engaged in sexual predatory behavior towards them, and one male comrade mentioned that Shaka even approached his girlfriend inappropriately, even though Shaka was aware she was his girlfriend. These weren't mentioned as isolated incidents, but as a pervasive pattern with Shaka that had occurred over and over where women felt uncomfortable around Shaka. If so, this would be another violation of Rule 1 and 2. The other discoveries in our field report in regards to the misappropriation of funds where no one could account for the $12,000 grant and the GoFundMe funds could be accounted for by even its treasurer is concerning for us. Taken as a whole, these are incidents that would bring discredit not only to the NABPP, but also to us as 2RC, and should be a concern for our entire coalition. For those reasons stated above, we feel that we have no choice but to terminate all relationships with Shaka Zulu and those who follow in his leadership. Furthermore, many allegations have surrounded the New African Black Panther Party, but we find no evidence that Jake Hansbury or Tom Watts has attempted to stop such activities from occurring in the NABPP. We find them as being complicit in this culture of liberalism that ran rampant for a number of years in the NABPP in Newark. If they wish to take responsibility for Shaka and the NAPP and all other matters, then they are surely responsible for not combating this form of liberalism well. Our conclusion. It is a recommendation of the Special Body Committee that the 2RC Representatives Council vote out the New African Black Panther Party under the leadership of Shaka Zulu and its subordinate organizations, the White Panther Party and the United Panther Movement. Any individuals who signed on to the expulsion of Africa and his family should also be excluded from being members in the Second Rainbow Coalition. However, anyone who didn't sign that statement and didn't factionalize against African patients and their family should be given an opportunity to remain a part of the Second Rainbow Coalition. They shouldn't be punished for the errors of their leaders. As far as Africa and patients and their family, the Second Rainbow Coalition should give these comrades our full support. We can't allow the state of New Jersey to railroad them. We should use the membership dues as we start to collect soon to put towards their legal defense. We should also support them boots on the ground during their courtroom appearances until all charges have been dropped against them. And if for some reason they are railroaded, we should support them until they are released from prison. No comrade is expendable and never will be in the Second Rainbow Coalition. Lastly, since developments in Newark, New Jersey, where Shaka Zulu was allegedly voted out as chairman of the New African Black Panther Party and replaced by Africa as interim chairman, it is our opinion that we approach these developments objectively and carefully. No one outside of Newark, New Jersey can validate any organization and person except the people of Newark, New Jersey. If the people rally around Africa as the chairman of the New African Black Panther Party, neither the White Panther Party, UPM, nor the Second Rainbow Coalition can't say that he isn't the chairman of the New African Black Panther Party. That is an objective analysis, not a subjective one. For that reason, it is our recommendation that the Second Rainbow Coalition watch the objective developments on the ground in Newark, New Jersey for the next 90 days before determining if the people in Newark, New Jersey relate to Africa as chairman of the New African Black Panther Party. If they rally behind him and they establish a social base in Newark, New Jersey, then we must recognize the New African Black Panther Party under the leadership of Chairman Africa. Thank you, comrades. We've read our statement. Votes have been tallied. We look forward to putting this issue behind us and welcoming new members to the coalition and building more strengths and bonds. Chairwoman Alyssa, do you have anything to say?
Nope, I think we said everything that needs to be said, and all power to the people.
All power to the people.
All power.